looked at all 175 carries for Saquon Barkley.
Good Lord.
Did ya?
Yeah. That's curious. You guys curious why he's not running the ball very well? Anybody want to come with an opinion why?
Well, I just look at the offensive line.
Yeah.
I think they've taken a step back, and especially without Lane Johnson, their on-off splits with running the ball with him are big time different.
Yeah.
I mean, how many touches did he have last year, though? Isn't this rule of 370 territory?
Dawson might be onto something here.
Oh, he's not looking as explosive.
Well, that was the whole preseason thing where I thought
he's really not.
That's why they'd missed the playoffs.
Wear and tear.
Chief, you're onto something about their offensive line has not been healthy, completely healthy. And there's been times where they've had to bring in guys like Fred Johnson. He's like their extra blocker guy, but now he's the starting right tackle for them. So now they're going to have to use Matt Pryor as their extra blocker guy, and he's not really getting the job done, nor is their tight ends getting the job done as blocker guys. And so what happened is they've struggled with centers, like that Brett Tooth. He is a guy that, like, when he's in there, they really don't run the ball very well because he has no power. So anytime he has to cut somebody off, there's been more penetration with this offensive line because of the problems with the health. But I think a big thing is the back doesn't look as explosive and as quick as he once did.
Yeah, 91 carries in the postseason plus 345 in the regular.
Yeah,
it's a lot.
It's when it's to the hole, hit the hole. This is a team they're going to try and run the ball. They're a right-handed team, so they try and run the ball to their right side, which would be the defense's left. But what Barkley's been really good at over the years is taking the ball where it needs to go, but then breaking it back. Like his vision to kind of see. And they've played some teams, man. I was watching them with the Rams, watching them, against the Buccaneers. Well, I mean, every game where there's a team that plays with a pretty decent run defense element to it, the Eagles have had some problems. They just can't sustain blocks. They haven't been able to get a lot of movement. The runner looks like he's kind of slowed down a little bit, and they've taken away some of his cutback lanes. When he wants to cut the ball back, that's where you see some really, really big plays. But he just hasn't. Teams have been winning at the line of scrimmage, and kind of there's been a lot of those 2, 3, 4 yard gains. Before you've seen him where he's had those gains where it's against the Giants, he had a long run, a 50, 60-yard run. But he hasn't had those explosive runs. When you look at him, he's only had 16 runs of over 10 yards this season, which is not great for him. Because he's usually the guy it's usually a 15, 16, and it's a 30-yard, 50, yeah. But I think that they've kind of wore them out. This team also is they have the third. When it comes to drop back passes, they don't throw the ball. Like they're the third in the league with the least amount of drop back passes, and you can kind of tell that they lean on their running game that way. So they put so much pressure on him because they don't throw the football. So you talk about they don't drop back much. They're not very good in completions when it comes to their drop back game. But they face the most amount of blitzes. Well, actually, the second most amount of blitzes. And I think people try to change the picture on this guy. That's how you kind of get to this quarterback a little bit. You blitz him, but you feel like that maybe how do you control him running is what they'll do. But I could see teams when you watch them throw or him try to throw. They change the picture of him. They give him different looks and stuff like that and make him have to process. And he's a guy that holds the ball, and he holds the ball into some sacks.
Oh, yeah.
Is what he'll do. Now, he hasn't turned the ball over. I was trying to go through and say, okay, computer, give me all the plays where he's thrown an interception. It was one.
Yeah, I mean, that's how they end up winning.
And I thought
he doesn't beat him.
I thought the computer was messing around with me. I'm like, computer, give me all the interceptions, not knowing the number. It's actually 1.
He's not going to lose you the game.
Yeah, he's just been really very conscious of not throwing that. He had some drops, some bad drops in the Detroit game on him. He's had some bad overthrows that he's had to deal with. He hasn't always put the ball right where it needed to be. And they're very basic when they come to, you think the Eagles as being a big crossing route team, that's lowered. They don't
throw it over the middle.
They don't. That's a big problem. They used to be a team that was always running routes through the middle of your defense with all these different route combinations, and it hasn't been that way. And I could see why that receiver's bitching about the offense.
Sure.
It's a go route, it's a hitch, and it's a slant. That's the Philadelphia Eagles right now. Now, nobody runs more go routes than the New York Giants. The Giants are the only other team that runs more go routes than the Eagles. But they don't do anything else. Like I used to think, oh, look at the amount of crossing routes these guys. Look at the mesh, the deep mesh stuff that they used to do, try and pick guys off. I don't see that much more from the Eagles in their offense. So that's been a big problem for them.
We're talking about bringing your guy Doug Peterson back.
Yeah.
Help the offense get more aggressive.
Are they really?
Well, the media was.
Oh, the media was? I haven't talked to Doug in a while. Like when he got let go in Jacksonville, I said, "Hey, bro, I'm sorry." He goes, "Hey, don't worry about it. We'll be all right." And that's it. I haven't talked to him since. But just to go back with Barkley real quick, just the numbers and stuff, just looking at those. But you could see it on tape. 3.8 yards per carry, only a 35% success rate running that 4 yards per carry. I said the 16 explosive runs, 33 missed tackles. Jeez, it seemed like he used to do that in a game, Yeah. But not this case there. But they are a right side running team, is what they are. So Cowboys had better kind of be on the screws for that one. I'll say this though, like I say about their offensive line though too, that the injuries have been a problem. They have been, and it's a problem. Like I say, it's the thing that the way that people are now attacking the Philadelphia Eagles, and the right side of their offensive line with Fred Johnson at tackle is going to be an issue for them because he will give up pressures. I mean, he's not like Lane Johnson. Lane Johnson doesn't give up pressures or sacks. This Fred Johnson does, number 74. You got to be mindful of that. Tyler Steen at the start of the season, I kind of thought was maybe a weak link here. I actually think that Landon Dickerson's the weak link now with this offensive line, and I'll tell you why. When you get him one-on-one, and I went back and watched this because I was curious. You go back and watch him when he has to deal with blocks one-on-one, he will give up pressures, and he will give up sacks.
He's left guard?
He's the left guard.
Going.
Yeah, he's the left guard. And what he really relies on is double team blocks. Like he gets help from Cam Jurgens, the center. Mm-hmm. But when you get Landon Dickerson on one-on-one, and this is where the Cowboys can do some good because of some of the line, they play with the five-man line.
Now you're going to have Quinnen Williams go at him.
You got to cover the center here and put somebody over, and don't let Dickerson be by him or make him play by himself.
Nice.
You could get a quick pressure inside because when he has a double team, he's okay. When he has help, he's okay. But as a single blocker, he has problems. So there's a couple different areas. Jordan Mailata, by the way, has given up some pressures this year too. The
slippage across the board.
Left tackle has been a big problem there as well. So kind of a couple areas to look at.
Did you mention Jurgens was out last week?
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. He's been.
That guy stinks.
He's horrible. Their backup center is bad.
Is he?
So that's and they drafted that Drew Kendall. I haven't seen
Boston
him.
College.
Yeah, I haven't seen him play. He was a center that
he was okay. He was a weak center draft. Yeah. He was probably one of the better ones.
Okay, but focus on right tackle, focus on left guard one-on-one, and then maybe some pressure too from Jordan Mailata though. But I'll tell you what, this offensive line, they don't block well at tight end. They've struggled with some people with some power up front. I never thought I would say this about an Eagle offensive line, but they've struggled with some teams that are winning on their side of the line of scrimmage. So there's some hope for your Dallas Cowboys defense, kind of this new look Cowboy defense.
I think I told you guys the priority is to get
Malik Davis on the roster this weekend.
Yeah, so what does that mean for Jadon Blue?
Yeah, what's up, Blue man?
I think the things with Jadon Blue is I had looked at and kind of had a thought that maybe he wasn't carrying it from the classroom to the practice field to the game field. The smarts are not the problem. It's the given S meter that's the problem right now.
Yeah, it's not good.
Yeah, and so, it was like, well, maybe he's not picking something up. Maybe he's not doing something the right way. Well, he needs to be a better pro. That's really what's holding him back right now. They talk about Phil Maffa in a way, though. Everybody's kind of cheerleading for this guy. And they would like to see.
I'd love to see
him involved because he is a hard worker. He does care, and he's picking things up well. But we're yet to see him. They're going to bring Malik Davis up. My thought is it's going to be one of these cornerbacks are going to go. And
Bridges?
I think that Bridges is a possibility here to be the one. So we'll see. Like I say, they don't have to do anything until tomorrow. And then I don't think the league office lets you do things on Saturday anymore. You used to be able to do it before games and things like that, but they've changed the rules on this. So tomorrow we might see an activation and then somebody get released. And maybe, like you said, it could be Bridges. Could be that guy. So we'll keep an eye on that one. But priority. Also, too, about Diggs. I mentioned that thing with him. Some thought about he's eligible to come off the injured list after this game. But the thought is there's going to be no practice time, really getting ready for the Chiefs game.
Yeah.
So that might be another week. We might not see him until possibly Detroit game. So it'll be this game, likely Kansas City, and then he'll be back in the mix is I think how they want to handle this thing overall. So that gives you a little idea of the timelines for those particular guys.
Which is great because I want to see the young guys anyway. I want to see Carson and Rebel get more work and see how
they are. And like Dawson said, just be ready. There's going to be probably some growing pains. It's a little bit different skill set, and dealing with the Raider receivers is dealing with Eagles
and Brown.
It's going to be a little bit different. So hopefully they show up, and I think they will. Those kids are. I know Carson how competitive he is, and Ravel. I thought he was clearly one of my favorite players in the draft. I think I had him 12th overall on my stack. So that tells you what I thought about the kid as a player.
Got some pretty good depth going now. You just need a guy capable of handling your Marvin Harrison Jr.'s of the world.
Yeah, and that's. Yeah, that's
maybe Rebel is that guy.
He's
when it's all said and done.
I mean, when you watched him on tape, Zach, I know you got anybody else. I mean, I know you guys are busy with stuff too, but you watch him and carrying routes and how he's able to break and the burst and the angles that he takes, and he didn't. They tried to double move him one time, and he didn't move.
He just stays in phase.
He just stayed with him, and so. Man, it was a good start. That's a good start. I mean, it made my heart feel good that he was able to do that, and play that way. So a different challenge with the team, again, that's very much a vertical go route running team. They run the hitches, they run the slants. Hopefully he'll be up to the task. Okay, let's talk about Philadelphia's defense and really kind of what it's different from where it was the first time that these two teams met. If you remember that Jahad Campbell started as the Mike linebacker, that means that Kobe Dean was not the starter at Mike linebacker. He was
hurt, yeah.
He was hurt. So Dean, Zach Bond, those guys are doing a nice job of when you watch them, how they work together. It's been...
Gibbs and Jacobs probably didn't get 50 yards between them the last 2 weeks.
It's tough. It was tough. It's tough to run the ball on these guys. Just for that reason, the linebacker play is really, really good. The defensive tackle play is really good. I'm going to say this. We watched Jalen Phillips before. Remember, we were talking about the Cowboys were talking about him as a possible draft target, and we kind of liked him as a player. I liked him as a player. I know Eric watches Dolphin football pretty extensively and kind of had a little bit some concerns. But for Philadelphia, he is really perfect for what they're trying to do.
Yeah.
Vic Fangio knows him as how to use him, how to play. He's been playing left. He's playing right. I have a feeling he's going to be lining up mainly over Terrence Steele in this game.
Yeah.
Now, do you give him the same kind of treatment that you gave Max Crosby? I'm not so sure you do that, because I'm a little bit worried about, do you need to keep everybody in place for having to deal with Carter and deal with Davis in that crew? We were talking the pulling of guys, and it was a little bit easier with the Raiders when it came to, we're going to pull a guy, we're going to peel on him. I'm not saying just go one-on-one completely with Phillips the whole game. I kind of feel like there's some different looks you do need to give him, and because he is a he's a smart player. You don't see him like out of place on things and like that. And so him and then Jalix Hunt, and then also to Nolan Smith. They've got some guys that are capable pass rushers that you're going to have to deal with. This is where I think the game is going to kind of come down to for the Cowboys. I think it's going to come down to the Eagles secondary and really how well that you match up with them. Quinton Mitchell is going to play to the boundary side of the field, so he's going to play to the short side of the field. Ball on the right hash, short side of the field's the right side of the. It'll be the left side of the defense, right side of the offense. He's going to play into that short side of the field, and the first time you met, the first 18 routes that Pickens ran, he covered him 15 of them, is what they did. I think they're going to try and figure out how to match Mitchell with either Lamb, because in the second half, Lamb was cooked him. Lamb was starting to get after it in the first, and then what their adjustment was in the second half was to put Mitchell over on him.
I think he had just one catch.
He did.
After that, from that point on.
He absolutely did.
Well, that was the game where he had a bunch of drops, right?
He did.
He did have the drops, yes.
He did have the drops. Andrew Makuba's starting now at safety. It was Sidney Brown last time. Makuba's a guy we really liked coming out of Texas.
Big time, yeah.
He's a quality player. Him. Reed Blankenship is the other safety. The thing with Reed Blankenship is he will miss some tackles in space. So you got to be, I say go after him in a way that when he has to make plays in space, see if he's going to miss the tackles.
Get a little taste of George Pickens there, Reed.
Yeah. But Mitchell, Makuba, Blankenship, okay, the weak link of this thing, because I think Cooper DeJean, is in the slot, is a quality player in the slot. Adoree Jackson's the guy, again, that you need to look at here. And what happens is Adoree Jackson plays the wide side of the field, so we call him the field corner, and he has to cover a lot of space. And when he plays zone coverage, you can break routes off inside on him, and he's not going to be able to drive as quickly as we've seen like Mitchell and others do. So, to me, I'm finding every way possible to formation, to scheme, to make sure that Adoree Jackson's on my guy. If it's one of those things where you're sitting there and saying all day and you're lining up against Quinton Mitchell, and you've got to figure out a ways to get your guys on Adoree Jackson because he is the weak link of this secondary when it comes to making plays on the football. So it's really going to come down to, can you find a way? I think the Cowboys can run the ball against these guys. I do.
They certainly had success with one.
Yeah, and a lot of it was the inside runs, but they didn't have the defensive tackle in that game, and they didn't have their starting middle linebacker. So the inside runs. But still, I watched the Giants. I went back and just watched teams that had success. The Giants did a really good job with Cam Scatteraboo, and they did it in a way of on the edge, outside, but it was a physical way of playing the way they were running the football. There wasn't a lot of dance around. It was like toss the ball, get downhill, hand the ball, get downhill. That's what I think you're going to have to do in this football game. And I think Williams is up to the task. I think this offensive line's up to the task. It'll be interesting to see how Fangio plays you, but it's going to be Quentin Mitchell probably on either on Lamb or on Pickens, and maybe it's going to be maybe series to series depending on how things go. But the Cowboys need to do a little bit better job of scheming up some of the guys, some of the routes away from Quentin Mitchell, and then be able to handle Jalen Phillips, the outside linebacker, in the run, and then also be able to block him as a pass rusher in order to have some success offensively.